T-minus 20 seconds. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
Let's get ready to sucker!
Diamonds in my teeth, I got a lot of shine. Running up the number, that's a lot of crime. Try to take it from me, must be out your mind. I'm big time, lot of sun. Smoky in the air, that's a lot of pine. Pockets running over with the dollar sign. Try to take it from me, yeah. Big time, big time, big time, big time. Running up the numbers, that's a lot of crime. Try to take it from me, must be out your mind. Lot of signs, smoky in the air, that's a lot of crime. Just running over with the dollar signs. Try to take it from me. Big time. Diamonds in my teeth, I got a lot of shine. Running up the numbers, that's a lot of grind. Try and take it from me, must be out your mind. I'm big time, lot of shine. Smoky in the air, that's a lot of crime. Pockets running over with the dollar sign. Try and take it from me, from me, from me, from me, from me. Big time, number 9. Diamonds in my teeth, I got a lot of shine. Running up the numbers, that's a lot of crime. Try and take it from me, must be out your mind.
And welcome in, ladies and gentlemen, to a Thursday edition of the YSN Power Hour. We're all with you. DJ Yoakley here. Billy Mack getting down with some... what is this?
All Eyes on Me.
All Eyes on Me.
Perfect song for me.
Quinn's on the other side of this. Well, he's in the, what do you call it? The woodshed here?
It is definitely the woodshed here.
Quinn is in the woodshed. We got Evie and we got Rob Mush, which rhymes
What's up,
with
everybody? Douche.
I can never say that because I don't want to be mean to him, mostly because I'm scared of you. It is
right.
National Redhead Appreciation Day. So the good news for us
Yes.
is we have two of them. Well, one that accepts it and one that's still a little bit pushing away from the redhead table.
I mean, I'm really not a redhead, though.
Disagree.
I'm just not.
I strongly disagree, sir.
I'm not even a strawberry blonde guy. Like, I was just
There's
dirty
strawberry
blonde.
somewhere in there, buddy.
I'm not a strawberry fan either.
First off, your last name starts with a Mick. So usually that means that there's some ginger somewhere down the line. Right? Or am I wrong?
I like whiskey.
So I guess
There
the
you go.
question is, and I think we did this last year, who is your favorite redheaded sports figure of all time? Redheaded sports figure of all time on National Redhead Appreciation Day. EB, any thoughts on this one?
No, not really. Look, outside of the people on this show, I'm gonna go with Kate. I don't know if Billy is a redhead or not. She says no. He says no. He kind of has a little Cornelius look, from Frosty the Snowman. But if he is a redhead, I still like him. Rob's new to us, but I like him too. So those are the only two sports figures I guess you could say I really like. Outside of that, I'm and the rest of your family, I'm kind of terrified of redheads.
What?
Got one.
All right. All right, Billy. What do you got?
Mark McGuire.
Oh,
Yeah, Mark McGuire, the big red.
that's a good one.
That is good.
I can think of about 35 Boston Celtics, and that's like the only time.
Well, the first I just so
That's
I happened to do the Paul thing. Googled it. Why not? Takes 10 seconds. Bill Walton.
Paul's in, by the way. Can somebody let him in?
Yeah, I got him.
Bill Walton is a redhead. You talking about Celtics?
Yeah.
So I got the other way.
Same route as Celtics or whatever. But I was thinking Brian Scalabrine.
I
don't know if he is though. I don't know if
I think he is.
He
Google's
could be
10
whatever.
seconds.
Does Dennis Rodman count?
Yeah, I think he was redheaded for a month or two in that run.
I mean, if I'm gonna go redhead, I'm gonna go off the beaten path a little bit, and I'm gonna go Becky Lynch from the WWE.
The man.
The man. That's the way I'm going. She's. I mean, my wife knows I'm very much attracted to Becky Lynch, although she's doing all right with Seth Rollins, I guess.
Look, Seth, I'm with you, DJ. If she ever wants to get rid of Seth, then I'd let the man throw me around a little bit.
Take that off the screen.
What is it? Andy Dalton?
Moser's not allowed to talk the rest of the day.
The Red Rocket. Isn't that what they call dogs' wieners? The Red Rocket?
Oh, this is getting derailed real
I'm
fast.
just saying,
He lasted 1 week in Chicago.
yeah. Rob, who is your redheaded appreciation for athletes?
I'm gonna have to go with the coolest one of all time. I mean, Shaun White. I mean, I don't think it gets any cooler than that, right?
My wife says Red Rocket too. Well, look at this guy. We got TJ Parker coming in right away. He's not scheduled to be here for another 2 hours, and he shows up early. This is coaching. What's up, Studley? You doing all right? You want to join? All right, it's Redhead Appreciation Day. Who's your favorite redheaded sports athlete of all time?
My dad.
Okay, so you can say dad. You can say dad. TJ Parker, of course, the coach of Austintown Fitch. They will be playing Massillon. Massillon, Washington. I would just say Massillon here, right?
Pretty big deal.
Yeah, pretty big deal. Pretty big deal. He will be joining us 5 o'clock, right? Right on the dot. About 15 minutes.
Yes, I was going to ask you who you want me to send.
Devin, and who was the other one? Tyler. Yeah. And you? Yeah, absolutely. Bring them. Whatever you want. You got it. Absolutely. So there it is. That's what we call live streaming, ladies and gentlemen. They're getting ready for practice. They got your kind of music going in the background. You love this stuff.
Yeah.
You love this stuff. Rob, I'm sorry. I didn't get to hear your
Shaun White.
You said Shaun White?
Yeah.
I was just saying that's the coolest redhead I could think of, athletically.
What is
He's
it?
got a bunch of X Games. What are they? Is it actually gold medals?
Isn't he
Yeah, I think so.
he's the go to the X,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, he's the
Yeah.
goat. Yeah, he's the goat.
What was his
It's either him or Matt Bodner. I'm going with Shaun White.
who? Matt Bodner.
Matt Bodner, you haven't heard that name in a while.
Who
Is
is
he a
that?
fighter?
He used to play for the Spurs.
Yeah,
He used to play for the Spurs years ago.
Bonner. Oh yeah.
Who is
He
Conor
was-
McGregor
yeah,
a redhead?
something-
I tried.
He's
Heck yeah.
dirty.
Actually, I'd like to take that back. We're going with Conor McGregor. I totally forgot about him. I don't know how I
I
forgot about
swear
him.
he's a redhead.
He's not a redhead.
I think he just has his hairs all
Yes,
That's
like.
just because he's from Ireland.
I just googled it. He's not a redhead.
Does it say Google
he is.
disagree?
You just don't like him.
I just googled it. I like Conor. I love the way he talks.
All I'm gonna
He
say,
talks so much trash. He's
I
like,
think-
he's awesome.
I think we just created a new website called "Is He a Ginger or Not?"
Jeff, right.
Paul, who is your favorite redheaded athlete of all time?
Right here. This is the redheaded athlete we have in our house right now. So this is my favorite redhead right here.
That's a
What's
cop.
up, baby?
That was.
That's a cop out.
Yeah,
Avery,
I don't care.
What's behind you right now?
Behind who?
Avery, what's behind her right now? Who's
What's
behind
behind
you?
you? Look. Huh? Boy, how you look?
I got her again.
Yeah. All right. What's your homework?
Paul brought his own prop.
That's it.
So we went to the Canfield Fair together, and I kept tapping her on the shoulder and looking the other way. She was
The old uncle trick.
Got her every time.
and she was doing it to me the whole rest of the night.
Oh my goodness! All right, everybody got to go. Quinn, yeah, you went. Okay. So happy National Redhead Appreciation Day, Rob. More so to you and to Billy, to anybody else on this panel, but right, Bill?
Sure.
There we go. So now it's time for the Bear Brothers Would You Rather, and it's all brought to you by our friends over at BearBrothers.com and Bear Brothers Fine Hardwoods in Canfield. The Would You Rather is, Billy, would you rather sit out here in the
B?
Like it's 59 degrees and it feels like it's 10. I don't understand it.
I'm freezing right now, and I don't really get like cold all the time. Like my hands are ice cubes right now.
Well, we're also holding microphones, which doesn't help things out because these things just, if it's hot, these things are red hot, and if it's cold, these things are frozen.
I might just put it down and just yell.
Yeah.
Use my normal voice.
So would you rather be in play a sport in 10 degrees? Did we already do this one?
I think
10 degrees or 90 degrees or something like that?
Yeah, we did this one already.
Damn it.
We'll be right back after this. From Bear Brothers.
I mean, does anybody have a would you rather to pick me up on this? I forgot we already did this one. As soon as I started saying it, I was like, I feel like we've done this. How about a would you rather?
That's always easy. Like, if you go lottery, like, do you take the cash option or the lifetime check?
Interesting. Oh, here was one. I got one for you. Would you rather win $100,000 or your best friend win $250,000?
Am I going first?
Yeah, go ahead.
Pay me.
Yeah.
Pay me. Sorry. Deal with it. Pay me.
I'll take the cop out like Paul today.
I'm not.
My
that
best
guy.
friend is my wife, and if she makes 250, then I make 250. So I'm giving the 250 to my best
That's
friend.
cheating.
That's not cheating.
Yeah. Hey, technicality, right? You know that. Who's your best friend? My wife. Now we both got $250,000.
It'll hold up in a court of law, so we're good.
You didn't read me the fine print.
You went first. You jumped at it quick.
Listen, I don't know if Kate would share that money with you, Billy.
This is also true. Kate doesn't trust gingers either.
Kate's already got it spent in her mind. Just from here in the question.
All right, who else? Quinn, $100,000 for you or 250 for your best friend?
100 for me.
We got a bunch of me
I mean,
guys.
like, say Billy's my best friend today or whatever. He ain't giving me that money. No way. He's taking it for himself.
Even if he gives you 101, he still
But he
makes
won't.
out.
That's the thing. He won't.
And you're gonna buy lunch.
Yeah. See? So I get screwed out of it even more. I'm taking the money.
Look, I'm gonna one up Paul's cop out. I'm gonna say my best friend is my dog, and since I'm his legal guardian, I'm gonna give the $250 to my dog. Since I have to overlook it, I get the $250.
Joke's on you. Dogs can't play the lottery.
All right, then I'm gonna take the $100K. I'm not legal binded to anyone.
How
Now,
about
listen. If we can't use our wives as our best friend, and it'd have to be one of our guy best friends. Yeah, no, I'm taking $100,000 for myself because I'm not trusting one of my best friends, even though they are my best friend, to be like, hey man, I'm giving you. I want you to win $250,000, thinking some of it's coming my way. There ain't no way. Nope.
She's only your best friend because you're legally binded to her. So I'm not legally binded to anyone. Give me the $100K.
You got to read out these comments as they come in, Quinn, because I can't see them.
Oh, so yeah, Coach chimed in about, would you rather play in the rain or the snow? Jeff Howard says, would you rather jump in a freezing lake or eat worms?
Freezing
Now,
lake.
now Amos saying, 100,000 for me. My wife wouldn't share with me. It would be all hers. And Kate says, I'd give Billy like $8.
$8, man.
So
That's Chipotle.
that's actually like Paul was there for that. She asked for some money. I reached in my pocket. $8.
You're like the Dwayne Johnson of YSN. He's got $8 and Kate's got 250 or 100 grand. So, Rob, what would you do?
It's the stress levels of worrying about whether or not I'd actually make that $25,000 back by giving it to my best friend for the next day. It's not worth it. Just give me the 100 grand.
The math didn't add up on that one. Help me out.
Yeah.
No, I'm saying if I give the 250 to my best friend, like everybody else is saying, it's their wives or significant others, then you're going to automatically assume that you're going to split it down the middle with 125, right?
Oh, I heard 25. I didn't hear 125.
Well, I see what he's saying. He's risking, instead of risking that 25,000 that he would hopefully try to get out of the 125, half of just give him the 100.
The stress levels aren't worth it for the 24 hours it might take. Just give me the 100 grand. I'll decide what to do with it.
You still got to pay tax. Uncle Sam's got to come in and do his thing too.
Not if you find it on the sidewalk, right?
Yeah.
Straight cash, bro.
Exactly. A magic bag that happens to be on the freeway.
Hey,
I want to
not
know
my
what freeway
fault.
you're driving on.
Somewhere in South Range, I guarantee. those
Not 680.
Those bags aren't in Palestine. I know that for sure.
Well, there's bags. They're just full of something else, not money.
Yeah, you pick up a bag in East Palestine, it's usually on fire. All right. We have some sports to talk about, some X's and O's, guys. Obviously, we're here at Austintown Fitch High School. They're going to be taking on Massillon, which Coach Parker said, yeah, we're kind of a big deal. We're kind of a big deal. And it is a big game. There's going to be, again, lights on everywhere here at Greenwood Stadium, which we are so proud to be associated with. Special thanks to the administration for letting us kind of crash their party here tonight. And like I said, we'll have plenty of players to choose from here. We do have limited time with them tonight, so when you are watching the prime time, we're going to lead off with them and get as much as we possibly can in talking to their players and pumping up their program. Because, guys, when you look at this, and we'll talk about this a lot later, this is probably the biggest game of the night for a team from our area, because if Fitch wins, it's good. If Fitch doesn't win, it could mean catastrophic things for the 2021 season. Billy?
I agree. I mean, anytime Massillon Washington's coming into the Valley to play, one of our teams, we want to represent. I mean, this is a team and a school that has the most state championships in the state of Ohio, and it's not even close. And it's really like last time I checked, I think they're top 10 in the nation all time.
But correct me if I'm wrong. They haven't won one in quite some time.
No, it doesn't.
Massillon does not have a state championship. They have national championships. They do not have a state championship.
Or whatever, the national level. But, I mean, even still, this is Massillon Washington. Whether they're good, bad, indifferent, it doesn't matter. They're a powerhouse. And when they come into the Valley, we got to rally together and put a whooping on these little kitties.
Tigers. Rob, when you think about Austintown Fitch football, it has changed. The culture has changed in the last 2 years dramatically. Is this a must-win in your eyes for Fitch?
I mean, like everybody else is saying, I think it's going to help, notoriety in the community and surrounding schools and things like that. But is it a must-win? I mean, actually, I'd go maybe the opposite direction. If they're going to go ahead and have this type of contest and find out who your team actually is in the middle of the season, this might actually, depending on what happens. I mean, of course, I'm going to root for Austintown, but let's say let's say something happens where they throw up a loss this Friday. Well, you have an entire half a season to figure out how to make sure that doesn't happen again. So I usually go that route in these games.
EB, how about you?
Yeah, I would say it's kind of a must-win because next week you have Canfield, and that's not going to be a pushover. So you have 2 weeks back-to-back that are just huge.
3 last week. Who did they have last week?
They had. Let me double check. Yeah,
Take that back. Destroyed them. Well,
yeah. So I mean, is it a must-win? Maybe not this week, but next week for sure would be then, because you have to get one of these next two just for playoff implications. And Massillon's Massillon. It's probably the closest pipeline that we have to major to Power 5, where they're sending wide receivers and players left and right, not only to Ohio State but other big time colleges. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it that they produce great athletes. And if you look at Massillon this year, their losses are to Division I Pick Central, which is a powerhouse, generally in football, and then also St. Ed's, and everyone knows who St. Ed's is. So if you're looking for a stage, this is it.
And that's interesting because you look at this, Fitch is not shied away from putting a very, very challenging schedule together. And I think they're another one of those teams that probably needs to win out, if not win the 4-1 the rest of the way in order to make some, headway in the playoffs, or at least assure themselves that week 10, they're not going to be bubble bound.
I think a win tomorrow night will be huge. Not that they can relax a little bit because they can't, their schedule won't allow it. But if they have a miscue, they're afforded one.
I agree.
And without having one game played,
and
less than everybody else.
Here's another thing before we continue on with Fitch. Paul, there was some breaking news today. We have a cancellation on our hands and a cancellation already for next week.
Yeah, East shut down. They're down for 2 weeks now, so their game against Mooney tomorrow is done, and they've already canceled their game next week against Howland. So Howland at least has some time to fill that game for next week. But East being down 2 weeks now, and so that's both our city schools down this week. And rumors swirling around that they might go remote here sooner than later as well. So not looking good for the city schools right now that they might get shut down. But talking about the game that you guys are at right now, I know Massillon, Washington, it's a name, but when, EB touched on it a little bit, their losses are to Pinkerton and to St. Ed's. Their wins aren't against anybody impressive though, because Reynoldsburg's 0-4, Harding was 1-4, and Glen Oaks 1-3. So, the back end of their schedule isn't that good either. So
correct me if I'm wrong though. Wasn't Massillon in a state championship last year with Hoban?
Yeah.
Okay, I thought that was the case. They're not that far away from getting what they desperately want, and that fun factoid.
Well, they've either been in a state championship the past 2 or 3 years, or they've been in the Final Four, and Hoban's knocked them out. I think all 3 years.
Yeah, these are a bunch of kids that know how to win big games and be in important games. Yeah,
and for Massillon too, last year I think it was different because the draw set up differently for them. With how the OHSAA did the draw, and they instead of being in like Division 2, Region 5, they dropped down to 7 of how the line fell. But this is a big game for Massillon too, because they're sitting at the number 10 spot for the playoffs. So if they drop this one to Austintown Fitch, that could put them in, you're traveling for the playoffs, and they have to go down to like a lot of the Columbus schools. And nonetheless, they still have, looking at it, at the end of the year, it's still them and McKinley. That's still a big game. So if they drop, they can maybe only afford to drop one. So this is a huge game for Massillon too.
Yeah, I think it's a bigger game for them than it is for Fitch, because Fitch still has some big games to come back on the back end of their season. They got Canfield. They still got Boardman left as well. So, this is a bigger game, I think, for Massillon to come in on the road facing a good Fitch team. And if they can pull this win off, it'll be a little bit of a springboard for them, because, again, like I said, the back half of their season doesn't help out too much. And like you said, EB, they're in the 10th spot right now. But, Euclid 0-5. They get a New York team that's 2-0, Worcester 3-2, and then Canton McKinley at 3-2. So they need some help. And this will be a big game for them, where, like I said, Fitch has some games on the other side that they can make up that ground with.
Who do you feel is the biggest bubble team right now that needs to win out, back against the wall, or else they're going to be the one of the first ones on their way outside looking in? For me, even though they played tough all year and they have never been blown out, it's Poland. Poland has their back up against the wall, and they have to win out, or else they've got some tough straights ahead of them.
I'm not going to argue that. I was going to pick a different school. As weird as it sounds, I'm going to say Brookfield. Brookfield, to me, has to win out because of the teams that they have left on their schedule aren't going to give them a whole lot of secondary points. Could they be in that 14 to 16 range? I think so, unless they can beat, Garrettsville.
Do you think somebody can jump them?
Yes.
Because they're in right now, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
They are in right now. So I think, the possibility of somebody jumping them. They got two big ones, still circled between LeBray and Garrettsville. So they're going to have to get one of those games.
Paul, I mean, is there a team out there that you think needs to really pedal to the metal?
Yeah, I mean, you hit a great one there. I mean, because Poland's sitting at 15 right now. They're in some trouble because they need to win some games or they're going to be on the outside looking at the Brookfield one. I don't know. Brookfield's sitting in the 6th spot right now. So they're right there. But if you go into like some of our lower division schools, I mean, you got to look at like McDonald's on the bubble. McDonald's 2 and 3, and they're sitting in the 16th spot. Wellsville's another one sitting at 14. So, you've got 2 of our schools that are right there at the bottom half of their division, 7, that could be on the outside looking in. And I mean, they could use some big wins there. Edison's another one. Edison's sitting at like 14 in Division 5.
But Edison's 1 win away from jumping to like 10 and not coming back. You know what I mean? Like Edison's got one of those. It's a weird schedule with all those teams. Like if they would have beat Beaver Local, was that last week?
Multiplier's different too, isn't it? Because they've dropped a couple.
Yeah.
Yeah, they canceled the Wellsville game. So,
and I know if ifs and buts were candies and nuts, but you look at that and you go, if they would have beat Beaver Local, they're probably in, right? Like right now.
Yeah. I think if you look at a lot of those NE8 teams, outside of South Range, a lot of them are kind of floating right around between that like 11, 12, 17, 18 spot to where and they all still have to face each other.
Jefferson, the team that we've all hyped up and been talking about, that they're not obviously hyped up, but we've talked good about them. Jefferson right now they could be on the downslide really fast. I mean, they get Hubbard this week, then they go to Struthers, then they get South Range, then they get Poland. So, I mean, they still got the gauntlet of the NE8 to run, and if they lose all those games, they can miss the playoffs.
Is Jefferson Poland week 10?
No, Lakeview.
Okay.
No.
That would have been unbelievable. Because those two could be both of them for a playoff spot, and they need a win that week to get in.
Yeah, they play each other week 9.
Still.
And then, week 10, Jefferson's going to get Lakeview, which, might not help them. So, they've got some huge games, and 2 of them are on the road. I mean, they're at Hubbard, they're at South Range, and they get Poland at Jefferson. So,
Paul, let me ask you this question. Is Jefferson your darling this year of 2021? Like the team that you've fallen in love with, you're rooting for kind of, just because?
Yeah, I mean, in the NE8, absolutely they are, because I mean, everybody looked at them and looked at Lakeview as being like, kind of like the doormats, like, oh, okay, they're not going to compete that much. And Lakeview goes up and down. They lost their coach, but they've got the ability to get some kids there. And Jefferson, I think everybody just overlooks Jefferson like it's a far drive to get out there. And when I got to see them twice last year, I mean, listen, they had some young kids. They were starting a lot of young kids, and those kids are learning to play. And now they get their chance this year to be like, listen, this is us this year and next year. Jefferson's going to be a force I think to play with, and they're not going to be that doormat that everybody thinks they were going to be.
Well,
so
always going to be. How many NE8 teams have they beaten this year so far?
What's that?
How many NE8 teams have they beaten so far this year?
Jefferson.
The 1-1, right? No,
I don't think they had beat any team.
No, they lost to Girard, and their Niles game got canceled. So
that's right.
So, for me to believe, and this is just for me to believe that in them, like the way you do, they got to beat somebody in the NE8. Yeah. Like until you do that, I can't bring you up to speed with the rest of the conference until you do that.
All right. So who's your darling?
My darling?
And you can't say Ursuline.
Well, you just took the only team you cared about.
No, that's not true. That's not true. Like LeBray and Ursuline are his teams, right? Those are the teams he actively.
Those are the only 2 he knows.
Who's the one team that you're like, okay, kind of like that meme where you're holding hands with Ursuline and LeBray, but you see that look over the shoulder. Who's that team for you?
I haven't really. You put me on the spot, and I wasn't prepared to answer that type of question at this moment. I'd have to think about it. I mean, I root for everybody.
Right.
As weird as it sounds, like I do. I mean, anybody in our YSN branch, I really wish them luck. It's just, sometimes I got to call a spade a spade. But
let's do that here.
It's
there's 49 teams to choose from.
I know. It's just like I'm not trying to pick a team that's already like, hey, this team's already like I would say Garrettsville. I picked them last year to do good things.
The respect, there it is.
But everybody knows at this point now that like, hey, Garrettsville is a real threat to everybody.
But they could be a darling.
Yeah,
that's a pretty girl. That's a pretty girl walking down the street in Garrettsville. You know what I mean? Undefeated, probably going to go the rest of the way.
Right.
So that's not a bad darling to have.
Yeah,
good pick. Good pick. I was going to take him, but I'll move on. You can have it, Billy. That's on you. It's National Redhead Appreciation Day, and I appreciate that you beat me to the punch. So he's gone. Rob, how about you? Who is the team that you kind of had your eye on, you're impressed with, not necessarily in love with, but one of those teams you go, wow, they really stepped up this year?
The first team I actually thought of was Poland. And the fact is, Poland needs to win out, and Poland can win out. So I really do see that team finishing the season the way they need to go ahead and propel themselves in the playoffs the way they should. So that's actually the first team I thought of.
I would say they got a great chance because they got the two big dogs out of the way.
They are playing big football right now. It's just the fact that they're going up against buzzsaws. You know what I mean?
I mean, I think it's fair to say that's the toughest conference in the area. With Hubbard out of the way and also South Range out of the way, I think it's a good possibility. They got to be favorites the way out, or if not, close to it.
If you won one of those three games, Canfield, South Range, Hubbard, you're feeling a lot better going into week 11, right? If you make it, if you're Poland.
And
if
they
not,
were underdogs in all three of those games.
But there's that little bit of doubt that's created in the back of your head, right? Like, yes, the NE8 as it starts to rain here. Are we at a 30-minute mark yet?
Let's take a break.
About.
All right, we'll take a break. We'll keep that thought while we kind of move inside the woodshed. We'll be back after this on the YSN Power Hour.
New things happen all day. Some are good, some not so good. In today's complicated world, while you're busy working, playing, and living life, we're busy helping you make sense of the day's news. And there's only one place where it comes together with clarity, context, and accountability. It's 21 News at 6 with me, Madison Tromler, and Derek Steyer.
21 News at 6. It's what the day's news really means to you.
Welcome home to a home made homier with Baird Brothers Fine Hardwoods. Inspiration starts at BairdBrothers.com and is turned into reality when high-quality hardwoods are delivered right to your home. Baird Brothers has the latest design trends, shiplap and skinny lap interior siding, antique oak rustic flooring, and, well, you'll find them all at BairdBrothers.com. Ordered easily, delivered conveniently, enjoyed comfortably. BairdBrothers.com.
At Greenwood Chevrolet, shop with confidence knowing we're ready to go the extra mile for you. With the largest selection of used vehicles in the Valley, backed by the Greenwood Advantage Warranty. Every one of our vehicles has undergone our own 126-point inspection, so it passes the most important inspection, yours. No other dealership has the extra inventory, gives you extra for your trade, and goes the extra mile for you. Only at Greenwood Chevrolet.
WRS Wealth Advisors, the area's premier wealth and retirement specialists. Located on South Avenue in Boardman.
Quality, customer service, and integrity. Those are the four words that have driven our success since 1957 at Joe Dickey Electric.
Joe Dickey Electric is one Mahoning Valley landmark business that stays current with the requirements of our customers. Family owned and managed, we are an electrical contractor and energy solutions provider. Every member of our team adds to his or her skill set through ongoing training. Residential, commercial, industrial, automotive, and more. We keep ahead of the needs of our customers with fleet of more than 50 vehicles and 24/7 emergency service, so you're never left in the dark.
And welcome back to the YSN Power Hour. We are now in the woodshed, feeling better. Not necessarily warmer, but we are away from the rain that is starting to come down. Thanks for everybody for tuning in. Here we go. Jeff Howard says, not going to lie, Boardman is my darling.
That's tough.
people keep stealing.
Boardman's tough though.
They keep stealing my darlings. But listen, everybody looked at Boardman. Listen, I'm telling you, if you didn't feel this way, you're lying to yourself. You did not believe in Boardman until right now.
I would have said Lowville until we did the Springfield game with that.
Yeah, you hopped off that train quick.
There is no train.
That
train stopped.
No,
He got derailed right there in Louisville.
That train stopped.
They're not a bad team. And
No. I'm not, I would not say that because they're gonna
be
cause
fine in D7.
some damage in D7.
Yeah.
The problem is you got teams like Kennedy that are in there, and it's like, hey,
Valley's my darling. I'm just gonna put it out there because I've had 2 darlings already stolen.
Where I was gonna.
Yeah.
I knew it was coming. I knew it was coming. I'm sitting there like, okay, Boardman, and then I got Boardman here.
Yeah.
Hey, listen,
Get it out before somebody steals it.
spending time with Andy Hake, that guy can make me believe and run through a wall.
I tell you.
Brother, I gotta tell you something. We're gonna have a great show today. And I love him. Like the energy, the way he is,
he would honestly die for his kids too. Like
Hands
there's
down.
not a lot of coaches you could say that about. A lot of coaches will say like, hey, I would do anything for my kids. Would you die? Because Andy Hake would die for his kids.
I mean, he wouldn't blink. It would be you ask him the question, would you die for your kids? Yep. Like that fast. And that's the kind of guy that you want. I mean, everybody knows that we have our favorite teams and everybody knows we have our favorite people. But, being able to get a little closer with Andy this year, especially after what he's gone through, I respect him. I respect the program. And I love the fact that Valley Christian, Dolph over there, their AD, how can you not love that
It was
guy?
just a perfect. It was a perfect marriage. Andy needed another opportunity to prove the naysayers, and he deserved one.
2 years, state championship.
Yeah, and he deserved one, and they needed somebody to solidify their football program.
But what do you have, man?
There shouldn't have been any naysayers in the first place.
I agree.
Agreed.
Yep.
Agreed.
Yep.
EB, who's your darling?
I mean, it was going to be Boardman, but whatever. And really, it still can be because them sitting at 4-1 and they have a respectable loss against Jackson, and they're coming up against a beat for their schedule. But Seth has that program in the right direction. But my darling right now is probably they're a darling, but they're also on the bubble, and it's going to be Crestview. Because Crestview is about a play away from only having one loss. I'll look. Salem was a true loss. Salem came in, they had a plan, and they're just flat out better, especially against a young team that had to, who really had to rebuild some things. Now Crestview has their schedule coming up. It's like the playoffs now for them here on out because they might be able to drop 1, maybe 2, but anything after that, I think they might be the outside looking in. And their schedule coming up is you have Brookfield, LeBray, Garfield, then you get Champion, and then Newton Falls. So it's not going to be easy, but Cusick somehow has a way to get his troops playing the best football, always on the back half of the season. So my darling right now is Crestview. They were a drive away from beating United, which that puts them in a whole different situation. And they've proven they're a second half team. They're putting it together a little bit now. So that I'm going with the Rebels right now.
I'm shocked we haven't seen any Uniteds, and maybe we had on the comments, but man,
No, nobody said United. Amos said West Branch, but
yeah. So
United's the same way though. Like
United, they missed the one game I needed to see them win.
Yeah,
but listen, with what they lost last year.
Yeah, but I mean, you still like Valley's the one that you need to beat. To win the conference, you have to beat Valley Christian.
I don't even think you need to see them win that game. You just need to see them play it.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Because Valley's in the same boat, right?
Right. Valley is.
I think Valley is the team in the OSC.
But listen,
right. But they played one good team outside of the PO8 or whatever the conference is, and didn't look good.
Not to take anything away from Lisbon, but the way Lisbon played Valley last week opened my eyes. Like there are some gaps. There are some gaps, and
I think a lot of that had to do with Valley traveling. Valley doesn't.
Then explain the break.
Well, yeah, no, you're right.
Then it's going to be a long off season because here's the thing: no matter what is it? The first 2 weeks you can have home games, but then you travel the rest of the way. Like you got to play.
maybe.
Yeah, your regional semi and regional championship games will be on neutral sites this year.
So if you think about that, Quinn, that's not a good omen if you don't travel well.
Didn't it used to be that way? I bet. Coach.
Yeah.
Because
it used to be that way, and then
your first
last year,
maybe second round. When I played, it was I know it was your first. It maybe could have been your second round. The higher seed got the home seed, and then after that, it was on the road.
Yeah, and then last year they changed it to where you could host all the way through the regional championships.
Yeah,
I still want to know what you do with that title, with the EOAC, if those two teams don't play, and obviously they won't, because when are you going to play that game?
You're not.
If somebody slips up, maybe.
Yeah, and honestly, I wouldn't be shocked if Wellsville and Southern is going to give Valley a game or someone. And granted, hey, Southern, suck it up. Time to become a YSN school, because you have some great players who need the recognition. But the good thing that Valley has with that is those are home games. But Southern's playing well. They got some athletes that they fill in. Wellsville, they grew up quick after that week 1, and I think their quarterback started to figure it out. Great House coming back definitely helped them, where it gives them another athlete that they can utilize in the backfield and split them out a little bit. So if you can get Valley to be undisciplined, and Coach Hake talks about it all the time, to where they beat themselves a little bit, all it takes is one play.
I agree. Quinn, who's your mother?
I mean, mine was Valley. I agree with you. It was Valley. Yeah, you stole it from me. But I mean, they've got 3 of the last 5.
We have 49 schools you can pick from.
I don't care about the other Billy. I like sticking with the one I picked.
Whoa.
I like staying with who I picked. I don't change picks. Ever. Never.
Disagree with that.
I've stayed pat on mine.
I've never. Not this year.
You tap danced around here for a while, man.
What?
You're garlic. You tap dance.
I got 2.
You were like Patrick Swayze.
Like, I got 2 schools that that are in my corner all the way, no matter win or lose or draw. Like those 2.
We all know that you jump cars quick whenever they lose.
For 2 years now.
Go Pug.
Go Padres.
Tatis had his 40th home run last night,
and they still won't make the playoffs.
They might not.
Are they above 500 yet?
They're above 500.
Yeah, but they were great in April, guys.
And I'd stay with them
until
we might have to find a new playoff.
Hey, quick thought though, because Rob mentioned Poland. If you think about it, Poland's literally 3 or 4 plays away from being undefeated.
Yes,
I mean, you said they went through the buzzsaw, and they did. But even with that being said, they are literally 3 or 4 plays away from being on the other side of that.
But that's the problem, is they're going to look back and go, man, we were 3 or 4 plays away from making the playoffs. You know what I mean? If it all comes down to it, that's going to be the trouble. And that's something that's very tough. I don't want to say it's not tough on the coaching staff, because it is, but they'll come back next year and be strong. These seniors are going to have to live with that for the rest of their life.
Where was when they lost to Ursuline last year in the playoffs? What game was that? Was that regional semifinals, or district finals?
I think it was the game before.
I can't recall.
Like, that's if they don't make the playoffs, that's a far drop from going that far to not making the playoffs.
No, it was regional. Yeah. It was.
I don't know if any other school would make that.
It was region semi.
No, not this year, but it's happened.
I'm sure it's happened, but
I was on one of those teams. You know what I mean? You look at the East Palestine teams that all of a sudden showed up, and then look where they're at.
I didn't know that.
2002, the first year Palestine never made the playoffs. 2003, I don't think they came close, if I recall. I mean,
Sigler saying Salem's last 3 games on the schedule will be a gut check for them too.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, they're probably gonna. Yeah,
you can say they're finally gonna play somebody.
I was, and then I caught myself. I feel the same way about the other team.
Listen, I don't want to take anything away from Alliance, but I'm going to say, with all due respect, Alliance had a perfect personnel for Salem.
Well, how much do you think of it was those guys? Because I mean, we've talked Salem up the last couple of weeks, and you start to believe that. And there's teams that believe that, hey, we just walk on the field, we're going to win this game. And maybe that was the case. I mean, I'm not inside their huddle or anything like that, but we were talking them up to the point where, like, hey, they're going to be a problem for teams like Ursuline and
I still think they might be. But if they stack up, no, listen, Ursuline isn't necessarily. Well, they got a loss, right?
I don't really want to talk about that school here. I feel like I got eyes on me right now.
Billy's going to get a football to the back of the head, an errant throw.
I mean,
we saw the wanted
Coach
posters on
Parker
the way.
came over here, and I was like, "Oh God, I'm in trouble."
Yeah. And like Sigler said, they get Carrollton, Canton South, and then they end with the big rivalry in West Branch for Salem, and then Amos saying Carrollton will upset either Salem or West Branch.
So are you saying that Carrollton is better than Salem or West Branch, or is that? I mean,
That's what Amos saying. Amos saying they're going to upset one of those two teams.
But it's one thing. Are they better than them? You know what I mean? Are you better than that?
Tough every year though.
Because an upset means that you're not better than them and you just beat them, right?
Yeah, you beat underdog.
I mean, I think they're
Like a sizable underdog.
I don't know if it's sizable.
I want to see Amo put the marbles on the table and say, "Hey, Carrollton's better than West Branch." Or
Yeah, come on. I see you've been over here, saying some stuff in the chat here. Come on.
You know what else I want to hear is I want to hear BMAC say that he's going to do the game for us for Wyndham this weekend. That's what I want to hear. I want the legend to join the YSN podcast.
You want to see him the show?
See what?
Is that the doorbell?
You are the master of the doorbell. All right. So who is the one team that you're still letting step up?
Sorry, Sebring. That's the team. I mean, I know they run the football really well, and they don't really have to pass that much to kind of get what they want to do. I just want to see them put it together for 4 quarters.
We heard 6 wins. We heard 5 wins. This was the year that Sebring was going to turn it around, make the playoffs, and not that they still can't.
And I believe in Coach because he's a dog, and he knows what he wants. He's well educated. He's got plenty of experience in it. I have no doubt or lack of faith in Coach. It's just, can they just put it together for 4 quarters? I talked to him and he's like, "Hey, we played a really great second half. When are you going to play a full game?" And then once they do that, you're going to see the potential of what Sebring can do. But will it be too little, too late?
Yeah, and I don't know what the back end of their schedule looks like except for week 10. And
they got to play Springfield still.
That is the one. That's
the
one. That is
He gets Jackson Milton, Lowville, Middle Ridge, Western Reserve, Springfield, Latonia.
And I think he's in every game. That's the way out. I think they do enough good things that, can they listen, as in sports in general, it's hard to win. It really is. We take for granted some of these teams Springfield winning so how many regular season games in a row, South Range going out here and doing their thing, Fitch out here, Ursa, all these schools that are winning football games consistently. It's a culture. It really is, and it's more than just the 11 players on the field. It's guys the scout team guys, the assistant coach. It's a big deal to just prepare to win, and it's one thing to prepare to win, and it's another thing to execute. As a lot of these schools are trying to figure out.
Will says the one thing that hurts Sebring is the number of players, and I think yes to an extent, and I think that's an excuse from 20 years ago because now you have all these other schools.
Yeah, there's teams out here that are winning games with 17, 18.
JFK won a state championship in baseball with 11 guys.
Yeah, so I mean, it's just about building that winning culture. To me, last year we talked about how nobody does it better than Springfield. They just expect to win their individual battles, their team battles, their group battles, and it's amazing. We've talked about it, relentless, And anyway, to answer your question, I think for me it's Springfield.
Who's the one team?
Sebring, sorry.
Who's the one team you're rooting for, Rob, to really get things back into motion?
I mean, I don't know if I'd say get back into motion, but just finish out. One of the first schools I was thinking about was Brookfield. Their only losses against Springfield, that was 20-14. I want to actually see them finish out the way they need to, the way they should in that conference, and see what they can happen in the playoffs.
I like that pick. EB?
I mean, they're kind of on the way, and mine would be McDonald. I know they've stringed 2 wins together, but they have some big dogs coming up. They have Springfield, they have Lowville. I don't think they get Springfield. Springfield's just too good, but I think they're going to give Lowville some trouble. They're kind of unorthodox. There's no rhyme or reason to some of the things or personnel that they have. They're mix and match right now, but they're starting to figure it out. So I think I wanted to go with Sebring. Mac took that one. I agree with everything he said, so I'm going to go McDonald on this one.
Quinn's going to go one way, and I'm going to go the other. I'm just guessing.
Taking McDonald.
You were going to take McDonald?
I was. But no, I had
You
a
better go
backup plan.
first.
I had a
You better go
backup plan.
first.
It's
No,
Western
no.
Reserve. It's Western Reserve for me.
Oh, I didn't see that coming.
Plan is Western Reserve.
I didn't see that
They're
coming.
on a 2-game winning streak. Schedule's a little bit favorable. They still play Springfield, obviously. But it's one of those things that coming into the year, I figured Western Reserve last year was a little young, and I figured they'd have a little bit better of a year starting off than they did so far. That dude's been taking laps.
Not I.
About to. But no, I think Western Reserve, I think they could piece it together. And, looking at the schedule right now, they could probably still piece out 2-3 wins and maybe get into the playoffs still.
Not bad. Paul?
The team that I was looking at, and it's going to be tough for them. Right now they're on the outside looking in. They're in the number 17 spot, and they've got a gauntlet kind of to run here. And we just talked about them a little bit at the beginning of the show, is Howland. Howland, they've lost some close games. They lost some close games of Poland and Ravenna, and then, Boardman. There was only a score or two there. But unfortunately, they get West Branch tomorrow. And West Branch is a juggernaut. They got to find out who they're going to play next week since East is gone. They finished with Cheney, Canfield, and Canton South. And they've just got – if they could win a couple of those games, it'll give them a shot to get into playoffs. But if they just if they pack it in after 2 or 3 losses and just fold up, then, they're not going to be good for them. They've been in games all year, and that's the thing. They've been right there, just not been able to get over that hump. And I think – if they can scratch together a couple wins here against, some of the better teams on their schedule, they got a shot. But if not, then Barstool, Howland, be damned. They're just not going to pull it out.
We don't want that smoke. I'll take that.
You can come at me on Twitter.
We like those guys. We had them on our show.
Yeah.
If they come at
He doesn't.
Yeah, if they come at Paul, just pull into my stuff.
Paul won't see it till 2027.
Yeah.
I thought you were going to go one way, Quinn, with Lisbon, and I was going to go with Palestine. So I'll just take Palestine and Lisbon. I think both of these teams, again, looking for something to spark their programs. And obviously one of these teams, hopefully, oh my gosh, hopefully, I talked it over with Tony. I said the worst thing that could happen right now is if, knock on wood, somebody comes down with COVID, because both of these teams need this game.
Can you tie out?
Yeah.
I don't. You got overtime. Don't they got to get a winner at some point?
I don't.
Or they go one overtime and it's done.
Right? And when are they going to make it up?
Oh wow.
Yeah. Well, they get each other tomorrow. We're gonna see. It's the Super Bowl. And listen, I got great information today. And if you don't take East Palestine tomorrow, you're a douchebag. That's what I was told. Flat out.
I'm taking Lisbon, Paul. I'm taking Lisbon.
Nice play, Paul.
Give me the Devils.
Right now.
So I want to ask a question then. Out of all these schools that we just mentioned here in this segment, does any of these schools find a way to make the playoffs?
Yes.
Is there,
out of the schools that we just said?
Can you name one? Just name one.
McDonald.
If you were going to put Skittles on one of these schools, which one would you do?
Brookfield. I like Rob's Brookfield.
Oh, yeah. I forgot we said Brookfield. I would say Howland.
I want them to make the playoffs. They've got a tough road, and especially having to find a team next week, I think that makes it even tougher. That's the unfair part of this year is they probably had a win versus East right there, right?
Yeah.
It makes it and now they're going to have to go play someone maybe on the road, maybe a team that's up or down that they don't get points from just to get a game in if they want a game. And
I think Howland could.
I think Brookfield's the best bet, but in saying that, they got Crestview, LeBray, Garrettsville to play.
Well, here's the only thing Howland has to do is they have to either beat West Branch this week or beat Canfield.
Which is
they have to beat one of those two.
That's
yeah. Just beat one of those two teams. Yeah, no big
deal.
That
gives me fuzzies, huh?
They have a better shot of beating West Branch.
I didn't ask that, but you look at those two teams on your schedule and go, man, we need to pick a win here. West Branch or Canfield? It ain't easy.
No,
it ain't easy.
No.
And listen, Howland, they play tough. They play tough.
They are looking at a point where they're going to have to win out. more than likely.
Or go 4-1 or 3-1 or however many games they have left.
And beat the right teams. Yeah, I mean, maybe.
And get some computer points too.
Yeah, that's why you got to beat the right teams. Yeah.
Because Boardman will help them, right? Down the stretch, because Boardman's got a gauntlet of a schedule down the stretch. So that should still help them, you know.
Yeah.
But hey, great conversation today, gentlemen. Great conversation. We appreciate all the comments as well coming in. Chris Sigler talked about Beaver Local a little bit. I think that's another great point. It is time, Quinn, for at the bottom.
It's gonna take it. I see it. It's taking a second. My fingers aren't working.
The Joe Dickey Electric. What's your spark? Brought to you by our friends over at Joe Dickey Electric. Visit them today at dickieelectric.com. Anything commercial, anything residential, anything electrical. Did you just see Quinn shiver?
Yeah, like a dog.
Dude, I'm dying over here.
Visit our friends over at dickieelectric.com. Billy, lead us off there. Kenny off.
Listen, I'm gonna sound like Jeff Bezos here, but like I don't normally do this.
The weather.
I normally have something for reason cold out here right now, and
you have shorts on. Stand up.
Yeah.
That's your own fault then for wearing shorts.
It's not cold. My hands are ice.
It was 55 all day today. Weather hasn't changed.
It still is.
Are you inside? Are you inside?
Oh, you're damn right I am, because it's 55 degrees outside.
He's in the Iron Paradise.
So negative, and I don't like it.
Polito, go ahead.
Yeah, mine's a positive spark. Tomorrow, we get to take the girls to their first concert, so we're going to go see Stapleton tomorrow. So that's a positive. That's their first experience of going to a concert. So I'm excited for that.
It's a great concert, by the way.
I am going to see Eric Church tomorrow with Kate, so I could have used that. I'm still though.
You still can't that ticket? All right, Paul, mute yourself. There you
go. Yeah, but we have extra, so it's not like
it's not your tickets. It's yourself.
Well, they are. We were going to go from the pit to sitting with her brother.
Oh, gotcha.
Which is excellent seats as well, but she got pit early on, and now with the aggressiveness of something called COVID.
COVID?
Yeah, she's a little nervous.
Rob, how about you?
This is going out to anybody that's a statistician or a coach. I found my lot of stuff last night looking at all the stats for Wyndham and Southeast. Got through Wyndham and basically familiarized myself with their studs, their game makers, their game players and playmakers and things like that. I get to Southeast and I got nothing. So, if you guys want these kids to get the recognition that they definitely deserve, find somebody to make sure that these Max Prep websites and things like that, like they're updating these stats for these kids so we can learn them and make sure that, we get them their recognition come game time on Friday. So.
Well played, sir. Max Preps, it's a dice roll. It is a dice roll nowadays. I mean, you getting stats from like 1976 or 2001.
I think they have my stats on there. I had 23 touchdowns one year.
What, in paper football or what?
I just made that up.
Oh my goodness. EB, what do you got?
Let's see. Maybe two sparks here. One is Circle K in Columbiana. Like, dude, I understand you're having some turnover, and it's not the employee's fault because everyone's looking for people right now. But I don't understand how you run out of coffee, 5-hour energy, bottled water, literally everything that I was looking for. You're a convenience store. I'm just looking for quick grab and go, and I can't find anything. So now I'm gonna have to take my go-to spot right up the road somewhere else, and then. Dude, last time, I don't know. I feel like a bunch of us went to concerts early on this year on a Friday, and we kind of got some shit from some people. Now Paul's going to concert on a Friday, but nonetheless, it's Chris Stapleton. So, dude, enjoy it because he is freaking awesome.
It'll be the third time I've seen him, so yeah, it's great.
Super. I bet it's nothing like the first two that were probably not on Fridays.
Yeah. Well, hey, Billy's leaving too, so I don't want to be the only one getting shit on. So, listen.
I've never seen Eric Church before in my life.
Yeah. Well, all I did was cause South Range to get another PA announcer. I didn't cost us any games out in the network. So there.
Quinn.
Hey, it's your turn, Quinn.
Yeah. Sorry. It is Negative. It is the weather. I need a spark like under me to light a fire because I'm freezing. It's too damn cold. I'm shaking. And- All right.
Don't even put him on because he's going to cancel before you go.
I'm just muting Paul.
Go ahead. Are you good?
Yeah. Good.
All right.
Freezing.
Mine is going to be some breaking news this afternoon that I hit the news. We are going to be featured nationally on television this November, and I'm excited about it. There's a lot of things that kind of went into it. 95 million people watch this particular station every day. Every
million.
95 million. So more to come, but when we were talking to them, they just kind of stepped back and said, I can't believe that you guys pump out as much content as you do. And that during a pandemic, basically, you kicked everybody's tail. And I was so proud at that moment because that's somebody that doesn't know about us that gets what we're trying to do. So I'm excited for us. I'm more excited for our area to be able to be to represent. You know what I mean? YSN stands for your, but for that moment, we're going to stand for Youngstown. Very excited about it. I couldn't be more thrilled about it. For you guys, for us, for the team, for the area, to be representing on a national stage. So that is my spark, brought to you by Joe Dickey Electric. Anything commercial, residential, and electrical, go to DickeyElectric.com. Tell Eric, my buddy, that YSN sent you. That's going to do it for the show. We're going to close up shop 5 o'clock. Primetime Live will be here from Austintown Fitch. We'll have players, we'll have coaches, we'll have everything you need to get you ready for tomorrow night and football night in America on the network. Until then, bye.